In the vast and mysterious depths of the world's oceans, long before sonar and satellites, mariners told tales of a creature so immense, so terrifying, that it defied the imagination. The Kraken, a monstrous sea beast of unimaginable proportions, was not just a myth whispered on stormy nights. For centuries, it was a part of maritime reality, embedded in the consciousness of sailors who ventured too far from shore. They spoke of a creature that could pull entire ships beneath the waves, with tentacles as long as masts and eyes like whirlpools of death. This wasn't just fear talking. It was experience, memory, survival. Because something was out there. Something real. And its name echoed through the cold. Salt-laced air, Kraken. The earliest references to the Kraken appear in Scandinavian folklore. Norse sailors feared the creature not as a myth but as a very real threat. Ancient texts, like the Historia de Gentibus Septentrionalibus written by Olaus Magnus in the 16th century, describe sea monsters capable of destroying fleets. The Kraken was one of them. According to these accounts, it lived off the coast of Norway and Greenland, where the ocean is deep, black, and merciless. Sailors noted that when the Kraken surfaced, the sea would bubble and churn, and a foul smell would rise into the air. Birds would flee, and the sky itself would seem to darken. They believed it could create whirlpools by simply diving back into the depths, sucking down ships and their entire crews without a trace. Descriptions of the Kraken vary, but most agree it resembled a giant octopus or squid, with countless tentacles and a gaping, circular mouth filled with rows of barbed teeth. Some tales even describe it as so large that sailors mistook it for an island. They would anchor to its back, only to be dragged under when the creature awoke. This detail, repeated in numerous cultures and stories, suggests that perhaps the Kraken myth was rooted in encounters with real sea creatures, perhaps colossal squids, which do exist, and which can reach lengths of over 40 feet. In 1752, Bishop Erik Pontoppidan of Bergen published a detailed description of the Kraken in his work, The Natural History of Norway. He wrote that the Kraken was the largest and most surprising of all sea monsters, estimating it to be 1.5 miles in circumference. Pontoppidan's account, while filled with superstition, was based on years of testimonies from sailors and fishermen. He reported that the Kraken could bring up schools of fish when it surfaced, which made it both feared and oddly useful, as fishermen would sometimes try to follow it to catch the fish. Still, no one dared get too close. The consequences of encountering a Kraken were catastrophic. Ships disappeared. Crews vanished. And no one who ever truly saw the Kraken lived to tell the tale in full. As time passed, the line between myth and reality began to blur. Naturalists in the 18th and 19th centuries became fascinated by the idea that the Kraken might be based on actual sea life. The discovery of giant squid carcasses washed up on beaches around the world gave the myth new life. These squids, with eyes the size of dinner plates and tentacles strong enough to leave scars on the hulls of boats, were proof that the deep sea held secrets stranger than fiction. In 1870, French author Jules Verne published 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, in which a giant squid attacks Captain Nemo's submarine. Verne's tale was fictional, but it drew heavily on real sailor accounts and scientific curiosity of the time. The scientific name Architeuthis dux was eventually given to the giant squid, and it became the closest known counterpart to the Kraken legend. But even with this classification, much about these creatures remained mysterious. They lived at such depths that observing them alive was nearly impossible. It wasn't until 2004 that Japanese researchers finally captured images of a living giant squid in its natural habitat, confirming what had only been guessed at for centuries. The creature's eerie, undulating movements and massive form brought to mind every story, every whisper, every nightmare told by sailors of old. Despite scientific advancements, the legend of the Kraken never lost its grip on the imagination. In literature, film, and pop culture, it reappeared time and again. From the pages of fantasy novels to the screen in blockbuster movies, the Kraken has become a symbol of nature's raw, uncontrollable power. Its tentacles have wrapped themselves around the collective psyche of humanity, reminding us that the sea is not ours to tame. We sail across its surface, build machines to map its floor, but deep beneath, in the pressure-crushed blackness, there are still things we do not understand. Things that do not understand us. And perhaps never will. What makes the Kraken so enduring isn't just its size or its strength. It's the mystery. The idea that there might still be something out there. Beneath the deepest waves, watching. Waiting. The ocean covers over 70% of our planet, and yet we've explored less than 10% of it. Vast trenches, underwater mountains, entire ecosystems thrive in darkness, unseen and largely unknown. Is it really so far-fetched to believe that creatures unlike any we've catalogued still swim there? That something ancient and immense could have evaded us all this time? The Kraken is more than a monster. It's a metaphor. For fear. For the unknown. For what lies beyond our reach and comprehension. Every generation reinterprets it, reshapes it, reinvents it. And in doing so, we reveal more about ourselves than about the creature. Our need for explanation. Our awe before nature. Our enduring belief that the world still holds secrets. Whether the Kraken ever truly existed is a question science may never fully answer. But its legacy is undeniable. From Viking longships to modern submersibles, from ancient maps marked with "Here be monsters" to viral documentaries exploring oceanic mysteries, the Kraken lives on. Not in blood or bone, but in story. In curiosity. In the chill that runs down the spine when waves crash too loudly in the dark, and maybe, just maybe, the next time a sonar blip moves strangely in the deep, or a fisherman swears he saw something move beneath the waves, we'll remember. We'll whisper that ancient name, half in jest, half in awe. Kraken. The idea of the Kraken has never been confined to the pages of old books or the mouths of ancient sailors. It has evolved. With each passing century, the Kraken has adapted to new understandings, new fears. In the age of exploration, when European ships expanded across uncharted waters, sailors carried the Kraken myth with them. Reports from the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, and even the Caribbean described sea creatures of impossible size and strength. Often, these accounts mirrored earlier tales from Norse folklore, suggesting that the fear of the Kraken wasn't just local, it was universal. No matter where humans sailed, they imagined monsters lurking just beneath the surface. And the Kraken, with its immense size and unrelenting power, became the most feared of them all. In modern times, scientists have made incredible strides in marine biology, revealing astonishing species that once seemed fictional. The giant squid was only the beginning. Creatures with bioluminescent organs, transparent bodies, and jaws that can crush bone have all been discovered at depths where sunlight never reaches. These findings have only deepened the mystery. If such bizarre and powerful animals can exist undetected for so long, what else might be hiding in the black void below? Some researchers speculate that the legend of the Kraken may be a cultural memory of rare encounters with large cephalopods. Others think it could be an amalgamation of different sea creatures, whales breaching unexpectedly, massive jellyfish, or even underwater seismic activity that caused sudden turbulence in the sea. But no matter how rational the explanations, the emotional weight of the legend remains. There is a part of the human mind that craves the unknown, that sees beauty and danger in mystery. The Kraken also resonates with our modern fears in a different way. In an age of climate change and environmental degradation, the sea has become a battleground of survival, not just for marine life but for humanity. Rising oceans, melting ice caps, disappearing species. The Kraken, once a monster to be feared, now represents something larger than itself. A symbol of nature's wrath. A reminder that we are not in control. That the earth, like the sea, has depths we cannot dominate. As we pump pollutants into the water and disturb ancient ecosystems, the Kraken becomes a metaphor for the unpredictable consequences of our actions. This evolution of symbolism is not unique to the Kraken, but few mythical creatures have adapted so well to the times. In fiction, it has been portrayed as both villain and force of nature. In films, it crashes through ships and pulls submarines into the abyss. In literature, it represents existential dread, the fear of what lies beneath the surface, both literally and metaphorically. In video games, it becomes a boss to conquer, a challenge that represents mastery over the unknown. In each case, the Kraken is more than just a monster. It is a reflection of human struggle, of our constant battle with forces we can't fully understand or control. Children hear about it in bedtime stories, students study it in mythology classes, and scientists continue to discuss its origins. Museums display models of giant squid alongside Kraken illustrations, bridging the gap between science and legend. The Kraken lives in this space between truth and myth. Always shifting, always eluding full comprehension. And perhaps that is its greatest strength. For as long as it cannot be fully explained, it cannot be forgotten, there is a strange comfort in believing in the Kraken. It reminds us that not everything has been mapped, not every mystery has been solved. In a world dominated by data, surveillance, and constant information, the Kraken is a whisper from the past that says, there is still wonder. There are still stories left to tell. There is still magic in the world, so the next time you stand at the edge of the ocean, staring out into the endless blue, listen. Listen to the waves, to the wind, to the silence between the crash of the surf. Somewhere out there, in the darkness of the deep, the Kraken waits, not as a creature of flesh and bone, but as an idea, a myth, a warning, a hope. It waits to be believed in, to be feared, to be remembered. And as long as humans dare to dream beyond the horizon, the Kraken will never truly die, because the Kraken is not just in the sea. It's in our minds. In our stories. In the places where reason meets imagination. And in the quiet moments when we wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's something down there looking back.